Innocent bystanders in homes blighted by domestic violence, but children from troubled families often find themselves neglected by the services which should be protecting them.
New research commissioned by the children's charity, the NSPCC, has found some local authorities are failing to offer help specifically to children who've been affected by domestic violence.
Well, the former apprentice winner, Michelle Dewberry, is here with us to talk about some of the concerns expressed in the report. Morning, Michelle.
Morning.
And this is a subject particularly close to your heart because of things that happened to you as a child.
Yeah, that's true. My background is I was brought up in a home that was, I guess, you know, domestic violence was very prevalent in my home. My father used to abuse both my mum and myself and my siblings. And it's a very, very, very painful experience to go through. Myself, I spent time in domestic violence refuges. I was on the social services at-risk register, and I also spent time in children's homes. And it's not nice. And, you know, children, we often talk about the adult victims of domestic violence, but often the children, you witness so much as a child. And, you know, in lots of cases, it might be your father that's doing something to your mother. And, you know, for a child, it's so confusing and hurtful because you're witnessing this, and the person doing it is someone that you love, and they're doing it either to you or to your mum or someone who you also love. And, you know, it's very, very traumatic.
Is that why it's sometimes difficult for the authorities to know what's going on in the home? Because if the child isn't saying anything and the mother isn't saying, or the father isn't saying anything, then how would anyone know to offer help?
Exactly, exactly. And what this report shows is that, you know, children, they are kind of being failed is probably a bit too strong a thing, but, you know, there's more support and more help that needs to go to these children because, rightly as you say, if the parent doesn't want to volunteer some information, then, you know, what do you do? And we've got to get better in terms of having the services that can work with the children and understand their needs and kind of fix things for them and not just what's best for the mum. And you've got lots of complexities as well. If you think about domestic violence refuges, men of a certain age can't go in. So if you've got a teenage child, for example, and your family has been victim of abuse, you wouldn't be able to take your elderly teenage child in over the age of 18. So, sorry, over the age of 16. So you're going to struggle there. So there's so many complexities that have to be kind of considered and thought out.
And the report is about meeting the needs of children living with domestic violence in London, but presumably those needs are pretty much the same all over the place.
UK-wide, yeah. I mean, it's estimated that 1 in 7 young people will have grown up or will have experienced some form of domestic violence in their lifetime, and that's quite a shocking statistic, actually. And there's another statistic here that it's 29% of violent crime is domestic violence related across London. So this is huge. This is not something that's going on, you know, in pockets of society. This is incredible. And there's a great deal of shame attached to this subject as well. If people are experiencing it, it's uncomfortable. I mean, even for me, this is one of the first interviews I've actually felt nervous about because it's such a personal thing, and to be talking about people and things that you're experiencing. And in my case, you know, I love my father very much, which people get confused about because how can you love someone that hurts you? But it's a very complex situation to understand.
How do you get the emotional and psychological help then as a child? Where is it? Who offers that?
Well, I mean, so this report's actually been commissioned by the NSPCC and the Refuge, and so those two places are really fantastic sources where you can go. Obviously, the NSPCC has got the Childline that's there as well, but there's so much more that needs to be done. You know, people need to be trained in how to assess the needs of children and be able to kind of offer that help. And it's not a case of pointing fingers and pointing blame. It's a case of, to fix a problem, we need to understand that problem, and the problem is more needs to be done. And if there's anybody watching, you know, whether you're an adult or you're a child that's on your way to school, you must get help. You don't need to live like this. There's a different way of living, and you can get help. You just need to reach out. And, you know, also we need to think about the perpetrators as well. You've got to offer those people help and change that behaviour and stop the cycle there.
Right. Michelle, thanks very much for coming in to talk to us about it
this
morning. Michelle Dewberry.
14 minutes past 8, still to come on the programme.